Joining me, the President, Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria, Chief Muyiwa Ajibola. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
I want to start this week. Role of professionals in building the kind of Nigeria that we want. How well have the professionals fared?
Well, it's really how much opportunity has been given to them, professionals, to be of value. The professionals, notwithstanding, continue to battle with the problems of the country in their different shelves, and even together under the auspices of the APBN, they look at all the issues that are befalling the country and bring up solutions through communiques which they also transact with government. However, these are like independent efforts which government needs to really harness to be able to have the best value from all the efforts of individuals and the joint effort of the professionals. For instance, we have looked at the effect of the Executive Order 5, Executive Order 7. We have looked at the possible solutions to the environmental issues that we're having with respect especially to greenhouse emission and the negative effect. And also we've looked at the effect of some government policies on economy generally, infrastructure provision, which is very core to the development of the nation. We have the physical infrastructure and we have the human infrastructure. All needs to be going on at the same time. So we continue to examine the critical elements of development and advise government. But however, there is need for a stronger linkage between government and the Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria, through which they can reach out to all the professions to provide positive inputs into efforts to make the country do better.
Now, I was at your meeting when you railed out your communique. You touched on security, how it affects the economy, and all of that. Also, the health issue, like we talked about earlier, the coronavirus, and all of this. So what is the position of your association on all of this issues?
Well, our position is that, first of all, this issue of security must be tackled. It must be tackled frontally. Now, we have several aspects of it. First of all, the law enforcement apparatus is not quite adequate. They do not meet the United Nations recommendation for policing per capita. We must expand that base. Now, secondly, we must equip all the security apparatus. We must give them wherewithal with which to work. But the most important one is that we must transit into the 21st century in the area of security. In other words, we must employ ICT to its maximum. And indeed, this is not a question of just importing paraphernalia. It's a question of devising appropriate paraphernalia by Nigerian professionals for the use of Nigerians. Because we are the ones that are familiar with our terrains, and we know exactly the issues we want to address. So solutions, appropriate solutions, by way of ICT can be provided through this collaboration.
The issue of our economy is something that is very worrisome. You see, inflation figures is out now. We are on the high side. Again, borders remain closed one way or the other. And the effect on all of these businesses. What do you make of all of this development?
Well, our usual approach, our approach to this is a holistic one. Economy is something that must be worked out on a multimodal basis. In other words, you have different sectors, and they must all look at the issues of their sectors. And then they come together in a hub where they will now, the economists will now put what needs to be done forward. And each sector will now provide their input as to how we can achieve this. In other words, the economists might say, oh, we are looking for a growth rate of 10% or whatever. Then how do we get it? The health sector will say its own, the construction sector would the industry, the manufacturing, they will say their own and so on. They will now look at it and then make inputs as to how best this can be done. And within, if this is harnessed and presented as harnessed, and there is a willpower to implement it, I believe that the economy of this country will move further.
Looking very optimistic.
Faster.
Then let's talk about public-private partnership, which you touched on when you were talking yesterday. And that's another way to build infrastructure and grow the economy. How well do you see government doing that at this time? How can they get better?
Well, yes, there's some PPP activities going on. But what we don't really, they're not very significant. They're not the type of projects we are looking at for PPP. For instance, the major projects, the rail, the roads, the telecoms expansion and everything, if the appropriate PPP yes, is employed, the strategy, you will find out that project life will be compressed, which is a very big advantage to project. Instead of constructing a road for 10 years, you construct it for 4 years or 3 years, and it's open to be used. And you then take money, the money that will have come out of the budget, you take it out to the private sector, and the private sector applies it judiciously, and they are allowed to make their money back during the operations. Indeed, one of us said that we cannot be running two types of economy, socialist and capitalist economy at the same time. In other words, socialism may be government to provide everything, but it cannot be in this day and age and with our population. So what we do is you allow the private sector to take some initiative, and when they have taken it, then you see there will be a spiraling employment situation, because they like to do their things efficiently, and they would like to do it efficiently. So professionals will be employed, and all sectors that need employment will get employment, and the projects will be done on time, and in the process, the human infrastructure that you need to maintain the project will also be gained. Instead of putting the projects wholesale on foreign and gaining nothing other than the infrastructure and getting into a lot of debt in the process.
Very, very. I know we can go on, but time is always known as on television. President, Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria, just a parting word, the final word for the government. What's your advice in one line? I have to go to the stock exchange if your Gekop is standing by.
My advice is that government should embrace Nigerian professionals. They should give effect to the Executive Order 5 and let it help the nation to develop and bring in the young graduates into employment.
President of Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria, Muyiwa Ajibola, thank you very much for your time.